invisible skill. Let's say invisible skill. So even though I call it invisible skill, doesn't mean it's exactly invisible. I mean, those people with the eye to see it will be able to see it. These things are things that only somebody with the similar skill or who has felt that ability will be able to recognize. There was a picture one time, it was on social media, and there was a picture of a master. I think it was a Tai Chi master. And he was just holding a posture, and it could have been, I don't remember what the posture was exactly, but maybe it was a ward off, or maybe it was, let's just say it was a ward off. And there were actually people who were talking bad about this picture and saying, oh, what could he do with that? What would he do with that? And as I looked at the picture, I said, wow, look how powerful he is. You could just see from his posture. So what made the picture look powerful to me? For one, he was sunk in his qua, and you could see all he had released down. He was very sung. His shoulders were relaxed, his elbows were down, and you could see the weight was resting in the bottom of his feet or under the ground, and his thigh muscles were working hard. You could see that in his eyes, he had intention. He had a look that penetrated outward through whatever camera took the picture and out to me so I could recognize it. It was just the look, the structure, and I don't know, there was something about his whole posture, his whole presence, that I knew this man had internal power, that he was very strong. And so I didn't comment on it. I just kind of looked at the people who were making all these bad comments about the picture, and I just shook my head, because that's just the way it is sometimes. Sometimes people know certain things and you can't explain it to other people unless they have experienced it. So I just let that be. But that, to me, that was one of the things, that's what I mean when I talk about invisible skill, but people with the eyes to see it. Doing this outside of class is really what we need. We need to incorporate these things into our lifestyle. I know that I would often talk about being in line at a grocery store or a bank, right? When you're standing there, just release, stand in a Wu-Ji posture. We should never be standing anywhere, locking our knees and just kind of slumping or leaning, putting our weight on other objects, right? Always stand in Wu-Ji if you can. So dropping the weight into the thighs, sinking into the qua. Now this is something I talk about a lot, and it's something that you can only find through self-discovery. Being able to really release and keeping the tailbone tucked, and then relaxing into that inguinal crease right here. Many people might think they're doing it, but there's levels to everything. So really try and find that. Try and find that so that when you release here and the weight goes into the thigh, and then you relax the thigh and allow the energy to travel even further down into the feet. The stronger a person's root is, or the deeper a person's root is, then the stronger they can hit you. The stronger their attack, the stronger their fajing. Why is that? Some of you are already thinking, oh, it makes perfect sense. I understand that. For those who don't, let me just kind of delve into it a little bit. So when I root down, I'm releasing tension in my body and allowing everything to go down. But I'm staying upward with my frame, and everything goes to the feet. So I have a nice, good connection with the earth or whatever surface I'm standing on. I'm connected to that surface. So as I mentioned before, any incoming force, I can allow it to travel down and through because of being sung. Now, the reverse, to issue out of the ground, I need to have that same looseness, that same relaxedness. You know, I've actually changed my body through Tai Chi structure. Now, how does this help me in everyday life if I'm not interested in fighting or sparring? So I've had reports from my students that tell me different things about how the structure has helped them. Some of you know Paul. Paul was in our night class, and he's a waiter. So he was telling me he's always carrying a tray, as waiters do. And you know, sometimes going in and out of the kitchen, these little alleyways. It can be a little crowded, walking through the dining room area. So on several occasions, he'll either be standing there or walking, and somebody not looking will bump into him, and it doesn't even affect his tray. They'll bump into him and they'll kind of bounce off and they'll look at him surprised, and then they'll say, "Oh, excuse me," and he'll be like, "No problem." But I know Paul, and he was always standing in Wu Ji. Like if we're in class just talking, he's in Wu Ji, which is how the rest of the class should be. Nobody in class, if we're taking a break or talking or anything like that, nobody should just be hand on the hip, breaking their structure, leaning, or doing anything that is not conducive to their Tai Chi practice. Even if we're talking or I'm asking questions or answering, then you should just be standing in that Wu Ji. So I did notice that about Paul, and a couple of the other students in class really uphold that, that practice of standing in Wu Ji no matter what. So I would watch him sometimes, and he would just be in this nice, relaxed posture. So that's how he was when he was holding his tray. Train on a consistent level. Even if it's only several minutes a day or whatever, however much time you can afford a day. If you can train on some level every day, then you start building and stacking the skill. The skill builds slowly over time. But I'll tell you what, the days are going to pass by. Everybody knows that. The days go by. So if you're doing something every day and the days are going by, you look back in a year, 2 years, several months, however long, and that little increment of skill increase over time just has added up. And so that's how we gain skill. But